G'day, my name is Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and today, ahead of her fight on Eternal 82, I'm talking to Miss Amena Hadaya. Amena, thank you so much for joining me today. How is your day going?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's been a pretty hectic day today, a Thursday. I've been up since like 4:30, did some PTs, went for a run, had a lactic session. So now I just gotta relax before the afternoon session. So I'm feeling pretty good. Just
Very
a bit
nice.
tired.
Well, of course, the busy work of the professional fighter. What is tonight's session?
um, Tonight I think we'll be doing a bit of wall work. Thursday, yeah. So a bit of wall work tonight, yeah.
Very nice. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of mentioned it there with doing PTs. This is your second camp as full-time fighter, correct?
Yes, correct, yeah.
How are you enjoying that? You mentioned they're doing PTs. I'm assuming you're doing some coaching to kind of offset the costs of being the full-time fighter.
Yeah. So it's been really good. Obviously it's a very big change to nursing, like not having to be up at a certain time, go to do my patients, do all the care plans and all that kind of stuff, come home, and it's a lot less stress mentally on me, not having to think about, if these patients their medications or how they're doing and stuff like that. So it's actually been really nice to kind of have these broken up days where I can, get in an hour's nap or a 2 hour nap or something like that, which I've never been able to do before. But like as you said, like I've got to obviously get an income somehow. So I've just been doing PTs and just keep myself busy as well. Like I feel like if you have too much time, then you kind of get too stuck in your thoughts and stuff like that. And I almost get more tired if I have too much time to just relax, if that makes sense. So I like to kind of keep myself busy in between the day.
Has being that going from not just being a fighter, but now doing PTs and kind of taking maybe more of a coaching role, has that kind of changed your perspective on fighting at all?
As in being the fighter.
Yeah, like when you can understand a coach's perspective at all?
Oh yeah. Like being a coach isn't an easy job, especially when you've got the responsibility of the fighter, or this person's going into a camp, or you've got a responsibility of a couple of fighters, if that makes sense. But it's definitely a harder job than I would have thought. But I'm enjoying it.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. You talked about, getting opportunities to rest and recover a little bit. I know in your last camp you mentioned a little bit more of extra soreness as compared to your pro camps, but not when you were full time fighter. How is that? You're
Yeah.
feeling better. You're recovering better.
I'm trying to recover better. I mean, like I'm getting my massages in now. I'm at my in-laws now. My partner's about to have a sauna, and then he's about to jump in the ice bath and get in the hot spa. So we try to do what we can when we've got the time. But sometimes you get home and you just want to go to sleep. To be honest, so it's hard to kind of find that motivation to kind of go, okay, yeah, I'm going to jump in the bath, or I'm going to jump in the sauna and stuff like that. But I'm definitely sore, I might even say actually, than I was last time. But this has been a longer camp. My last camp was only like a 4 week camp or something. It was a very short camp, or 3.5 weeks. So this has been a longer camp. So I'm sore, but I'm dealing with it, obviously with my physios and all that kind of stuff, just keeping on top of injuries and things that might happen.
I know you may say it there, it's sore, it's rough. The life of a fighter is, of course, rough, but how is camp? How is it? Are you enjoying it? How is it going?
Yeah, camp's been mad. Like obviously, like my teammate Volk's in camp as well. So we got a few big names coming to the gym and stuff like that. My partner's in camp for his pro debut, and then we've got two more boys who just jumped into camp, and then Trent who just flew over to Abu Dhabi to fight as well. So there's a few of us in camp. So I always find it easier when there's a few of us in camp, because we've always kind of got the same energy and the same dynamic and stuff like that. And obviously when Volk's in camp, things get turned up a notch, and we get a few big names here, like obviously Frank Hickman's here, and then some of the other boys are coming down as well. Brad Riddell was here last week or a week before, I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll get some big names in, which is nice. So it's definitely good to especially when Volk's in camp. We get a bit of that extra training, and we add in extra sessions here and there. So it's been really nice, and camp's been going really well. Like I feel pretty good, and I feel like I'm the fittest I've been so far. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Excellent. Talking about kind of some of those training partners you get. Obviously, just in general, freestyle's got some really high level talent there. And then you mentioned they're getting more people to come in and get to do rounds with. How does that help your development as a fighter?
Well, just having, obviously Joe's a great coach and all that kind of like all that. Like he's been teaching me for ages now, but it's just like having a different people having a different perspective on different positions or different techniques and stuff like that. It's always nice. Or even it's just cool to have those kind of people. Like even like Jamie Malaki's been coming down as well and stuff like that. Josh Kulabau came down one day. But it's crazy to think like you've got all these people in your little circle and they're all like top fighters and they're sitting here and they're teaching you, and like I still even get nervous to this day sometimes of like when like Brad Riddell will come down, or even with Volk and stuff, I still get nervous sometimes and I'm like, like it's Volk, relax. Like, yeah, it's cool, but um like obviously their knowledge is outstanding and stuff like that. So it's really nice when they can really break down techniques and stuff like that, and they kind of give you that those extra times after the session as well. And we kind of all sit outside and we all talk about techniques and stuff like that. We should just be going home, but we're all sitting out the front, like doing techniques on the cement and stuff like that, way because the other classes started or something like that. But it's really, really cool. It's a great environment to be around, and yeah, I love it.
Talk about doing techniques on the cement. I think I saw a video of you the other day dropping Colby Thickness on his head with a back suplex. I think I saw that the other day.
Yeah, it would have been for my spider. Yeah.
I saw that. I've been very fortunate.
That was on the mat though. That wasn't cement.
That was on camera. It was on the mat, and then off camera, I'm
Yeah.
sure you dropped him on his head on the concrete.
I try to, but he's hard to get.
Well, he's coming back. His legs all healed up, so I'm sure
Yeah,
he's full of movement. I was very
yeah,
fortunate last year. I got to travel up. I'm from Melbourne. I was very fortunate to travel up to freestyle and get a chance to speak to Mr. Justin Van Heeden and Colby Thickness. And it was during a
wow.
sparring day, and I saw you sparring with Mr. Seb. I always mess up his last name, so I'm afraid to
Delay.
Soleil. I was afraid to go for
Delay.
it. Thank you for helping me out there.
That's all right.
Um, I saw that, and you were piecing him up a little bit, dropping him down. What is it like training with that kind of group of guys?
Well, that's all. To be honest, that's all I've ever trained with. It's always been guys, and it's always been high level guys. It's not like you get some, new person in like, oh, you're starting off with them. It's like I'm training with the best of the best, and I guess sometimes you forget that you're training with the best and the best, and sometimes things don't work on them because we've all been drilling it together and stuff like that. So those positions don't work because we've all been drilling it. So sometimes you kind of get a bit of doubt in your head, and you're like, oh, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? I'm like, well, first of all, that guy's got 20 kilos on me. And second of all, they've also been drilling the exact same technique that you've been doing, so they know how to counter it, or they know exactly what your next step is in a way. So, I mean, it's great to train with them. Like it's next level, and like their knowledge is also like it's amazing to know. Like we'll sit back after training and stuff like that, and we'll have a chat about techniques and stuff like that. And we'll literally be there for 20 minutes, half an hour, just sitting there talking about techniques and stuff like that. And it's great to have, as I said, like everybody's insight on a certain thing. Like it's really nice. And we all sit there and we have a good chat, and then we'll all hang out after training as well. Like we're all like a really big family, so it's pretty cool.
Talking about going into those fights, and you train it one way and then you get it there and it's a little bit different, and you kind of talked about it earlier in the interview. You mentioned when you sit around, you kind of you get active, you want to get active, you get that itch. How has been the time between your last fight and this fight? Obviously the last fight didn't go the way you'd want it to. How has
Yeah.
the space between been?
It's been good. I mean, this might even be the longest between October, November, December, January. This might even be the longest break I've had between fights, to be honest, or maybe the second longest. I don't usually have quite a big break between fights. I kind of like to just keep it going and going and going. I find it easier that way for me. Like to kind of keep my head screwed on in a way, and just to keep me focused on what I'm doing. But no, it's been a good break. Obviously, like last time I didn't go my way, I was up against a very, very skilled opponent, and I guess we almost underestimated her. We didn't really know the level she was at because you can find your footage and stuff like that, but the footage is from bloody 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like it's not really showing like me 2, 3, 4 years ago isn't the fighter I am today. Do you know what I mean?
Of
So
course.
I probably underestimated her abilities a lot more than I should have. But yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from that fight. I definitely learned how tough I was, that's for sure. um, After getting dropped in the first, managing to get back up and stuff like that, like also just mental toughness as well. But no, it's been a good break. Like I obviously enjoyed it over the Christmas break and stuff like that, just being able to relax a bit. But I've been in camp the whole time, so no, I'm definitely excited to just get back in there and just kind of continue to make my mark on the flyweight division, and just really kind of stand where I am like show where I am in the flyweights.
Your last two times to the cage were over in UAE Warriors, and this is now returning to Australia. I know it's not exactly home, meaning, it's not New South Wales, but how does it feel to be able to fight back in Australia?
Oh, it's first of all, the 15-hour flight compared to the 5-hour flight is a blessing. Um, and the heat as well is next level over there. But I love fighting on UAE Warriors. That's amazing. It's an amazing promotion to fight on, amazing people, and it's just such a great production. But it is nice to kind of have a switch up and fight locally or more locally, I guess you could say, and then have like people being able to come over. Like obviously, usually it's just me, Tara, and Joe. But this time, like my partner can now fly over and stuff like that and watch my fight. My mum's going to come over. I think my sister might be coming over as well. So it's nice to kind of be on home soil, and I know a lot of people in Perth from my other fights and obviously the promoters and stuff like that. So it'd be nice to just kind of see everyone and remember kind of where I started. Last time I was back in Perth was May. Maybe it wasn't last year, it was the year before. So it's been a while since I've been back in Perth, but I'm definitely very excited to fight on home soil.
How often does the kind of the not necessarily extended family, but how often does the family get a chance to see you fight? Do they enjoy watching you fight? How does that work?
Most of the time it's like not my twin brother, but it's my middle brother who will fly over, whether it's in Melbourne or it's in Perth or it's in Queensland. He's kind of always there. And then my mum sometimes at the start she couldn't watch, she hated it, which I don't blame her. But she's kind of gotten used to it, and she knows I'm always going to come out all right. She knows I'm a tough cookie, so she's getting more used to it, and she's more so like even like when my teammates fight and stuff like that, like we'll watch it at home in the lounge room or something like that, and she'll be yelling and stuff like that. Like she's really starting to get more into it and kind of understand it more, especially now. Just seeing like how much I train and how much like you have to put into it and all the work you put into it. Like it's not just about the fight; it's about the process getting to the fight. And it's about the headspace and the mental toughness getting to the fight. I think, and I think I really enjoy the process.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I know there's a lot of fighters who can go through it and it can become very of a drain, you know what I mean? And you talked
Yeah,
about maybe be rough on the body, but I'm glad that it's still something that can be enjoyable, the whole
yeah,
process. Um, one more question I wanted to ask about your last fight. So you fought on October 17th, and then you've mentioned him earlier, training partner, Mr. Alex Volkanovski, fought October 21st. That was on the short notice call up on about 8 days notice. So it went from
yeah.
you being the only fighter from who was fighting in the UAE from your gym to very
To them both
quickly
of us.
something crazy happening. What was that like 8 day process like for you? And did that change anything with you? What was that time like?
I didn't really change. Well, as soon as Volk kind of found out, the whole like mood in the gym just changed. He was like lit up and he was excited and he was ready to go. And it was like full straight into camp. Obviously, like it was 8 days, but as much as you could squeeze into 8 days. But I flew out probably only like a couple of days after, so I didn't get to see really the end of it because I had to obviously be over there a couple of days earlier than him, and because my fight was originally supposed to be that same day that he was fighting, but they moved it to the Tuesday. So we had to reschedule a few, like move things around and stuff like that. But as soon as he found out about the fight, his whole just like he was so excited and so happy and just like he was stoked. It was a good environment to be in and be around and stuff like that. So and it was just pretty cool that we both got to be in the UAE and we were all over there together. So that was nice.
So this upcoming fight for Eternal 82, you were fighting Courtney Martin. How did this fight come to be? As we kind of talked about, you've been fighting internationally. Is it just time lining up? Is it wanting to fight in Perth? Is it Courtney Martin specifically? How did this fight come to be?
Well, it was more so I was looking for a fight and um we hadn't heard anything back from UAE Warriors at that time. So we were the only person left for me to fight in Australia within my division is Courtney Martin. Two new girls just came on the pro level, Fane and said drop there, Danielle. Those two girls just came onto the flyweight, so like the flyweight division. In the pros, so they're obviously two options. But at this point in time, she was kind of the only person left for me to fight, in Australia. So that's kind of, I think it was just more so like she wanted to fight. It's her hometown and stuff like that. They offered it to me, so why not put it together?
That's fair. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on Courtney Martin as a fighter?
I haven't like I've seen her fights against because she's fought Lisa 3 times, and I've only really seen those fights. And I think she's everyone's got skill. Everyone's doing it for a reason and stuff like that. So I'm I'm not underestimating anyone at all, and I'm just excited, to be honest. I'm just excited to fight on home soil, and I'm just excited to kind of put everything together that we've been working on back at Freestyle, and I'm just excited for the fight. I haven't really seen much of her except I didn't really watch her boxing fights, but the only fight I've seen really the ones against Lisa, and to be honest, her one of her fights against Lisa, I think she beat Lisa in that fight, and a few people have said that to me. But I'm not going to get into that. I think she's a skillful fighter, and I'm definitely not going to underestimate her when I get in there, and I'm going to give it my all.
Talking about, you mentioned it there, Courtney Martin recently kind of went a throwaway into boxing, has had some boxing fights throughout
Yeah.
2023. Obviously, boxing and mixed martial arts are not the same sport.
No.
When she comes back to mixed martial arts, do you think do you think her boxing will affect how an MMA fight plays out, whether it be her striking improves or maybe she underestimates grappling?
Nah, I don't think it's going to affect it at all. Before I transitioned to MMA, I was a boxer, so I think I'm easily matched in the, or even I'm not even gonna. I think I'm fine in the striking department or in the wrestling department, whatever department it may be. I'm not underestimating her, but I just think I've got it. So I don't think her boxing background is going to affect me one bit, because at the end of I've had a boxing background. I came from boxing as well, so I haven't even really thought about that, to be honest, but I don't think it's going to affect me at all.
You mentioned it earlier, your fiance, Mr. Mitch Harmison. He has recently announced that he will be going pro. How is the feeling in the house now? Two pro fighters together. What is it like at home? What are your thoughts on him turning pro?
Oh, we've been trying to get him a fight for a while. Obviously, he's got a 6-0 record as an amateur, so he had a fight booked it was like 2 weeks after my fight in October last year, and then his opponent he pulled out or something. He got sick or something like that. So I think Mitch is very well overdue to have turned professional, very much well overdue. But I'm just happy he's finally made the move, and he's so excited. A lot of people, he had to pull out, then he had another pull out. So it's been a bit frustrating in that way for him. Obviously, he's very good at what he does. So we're happy to kind of finally have a fight locked in, and hopefully everything goes to plan, and he'll be able to put it all in show come March 2nd, I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but the dynamic in the house doesn't really change. I mean, he's still working, bricklaying, the poor bastard. So it's not an easy job that he does, but he holds himself well, and he's really good at what he does, and he's really good at balancing that, work-life balance and stuff like that. So no, I'm very, very excited to see what he does on March 2nd. You'll be hearing me scream, that's for sure.
Excellent. As is any support network should. Is it, of course, fighting for one professional fighter, fighting is your life, and especially for you now doing it full time. But is it difficult when your partner is also a professional fighter to have that balance? You talk about there being good with being able to balance both things. Is there almost a time where we come home, we've both done our training, it's time to switch off. Let's talk about other things now. Is that something that happens?
I'm probably find it easier to switch off from the fight. Oh, you know what? To be honest, we're both as bad as each other. Sometimes we both just get really stuck into it, or we'll watch little things and like little techniques and stuff like that. But it's sometimes it's hard, especially when we're both exhausted. Like most of the time, he's exhausted from work. His work is very, very physically demanding. So he's quite exhausted from work most of the time, and then he has to go and train. But he holds himself well, and he still manages to get in there and smash it. But by the time we both come home, we're both starving to start off with. So that's never good, because I'm very hangry and he gets angry. I think everyone gets angry. And then on top of that, we're physically exhausted, we're mentally exhausted. So sometimes we're both just like happy to just on a weekend just lay in bed and watch movies and just really kind of try to switch off. And then other days we'll try to do some active recovery like it is today. But no, we're still pretty good. Like, especially like one time we had to fight on the same card, and that was a bit hectic, very very hectic. Obviously, I was very thankful that I got a fight before him because I would have been way too nervous for him, but we managed it pretty well, I think.
Are there any of those nerves ahead of his pro debut?
Nah, he's sweet. He's he's the polar opposite of me. He's just like carrying on, and then when it's time to fight, he'll be sweet. Like he's very good at like kind of just he's good at like not he still gets nervous. Don't get me wrong, but he's very good at controlling those nerves more so than myself.
Are you nervous for his pro debut?
I'm not nervous. I'm excited. But when it comes time to him walking out and stuff like that, I'm not going to be nervous. I'm just I'm just going to be screaming a lot. I don't know. I get like excited nerves when they start swinging and stuff like that. That's when I'm like, oh. But it's all like I know he'll be fine in there. I know he's going to smash it. He's an absolute animal in the gym, so it's going to be no different when he gets in the cage.
Amena, I thank you so much for your time. I have one final question for you. It is cliche for January, but I don't care. I'm still going to ask the question. It's January 2024. What are your goals for 2024? If I were to interview you in January 2025, what do you hope has happened throughout your 2024?
I've hoped I would have got a lot more wins under my belt by that point. I'm aiming to get at least 5 fights in this year, hopefully, and hopefully they're all wins. And I start to be able to fight a lot more internationally. I want a lot more international opportunities. Obviously just to get my name out there and stuff like that. But I hope to have a very very high promising record by then. And obviously the end goal is always going to be the UFC or even PFL. But that would be amazing to kind of get an opportunity to fight in one of those promotions. So that's my goal. And then obviously with Mitchell as well, being the same, whether it's having a lot more wins under his belt and stuff like that, and getting some international opportunities. So by that time, hopefully we're at that level, and yeah, excited.
Amena, you fight on Eternal 82 in Perth on the 10th of February. I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for talking to me today.
No, thank you for having me.